I need to say something that's going to sound very ungrateful, and I want you to hear me out before you close off this video. I make around $20,000 a month. I'm 21. And last week, I was sitting at my desk looking at the deposit, and my first genuine thought was, okay, what's the plan to double it? I didn't celebrate, didn't call anyone, just immediately looked past it and it was already old. After I'd put 20K on a milestone for so long. And then I sat there for a second like, wait, is that normal? Is that healthy? Because I remember when 20K a month felt impossible. I was making like $800 a month, and telling myself I wanted 20K sounded like it was a joke. And now it's just the baseline and my brain's already somewhere else. I've been sitting with that feeling for a while now, and I want to talk to you about it honestly. Because I think a lot of you feel this exact same way in your business, and you either beat yourself up about it or you just call it ambition and don't look any closer. But I don't really think either of those is actually right. So here's the thing nobody tells you about achieving a goal. You get a week, maybe two, and then your brain just resets and it becomes the new normal. The thing you worked years for is now just Tuesday, and you're already looking at the next thing. I've watched this happen with everything. Revenue numbers, follower counts, business milestones. You hit it, then you feel it for a second, and then it's just where you live now. The goalpost moves every time. And the first time you really notice this, you feel kind of insane. Like, why can't I just be happy with this? I literally just did the thing. Why does it feel so small? But it's not a character flaw. Humans just adapt to good things, to bad things. It's how we've survived for so long. It all just becomes the new normal eventually. Your brain is constantly recalibrating what fine looks like. And moving forward, you can't really turn that off. What you can control is whether that drive is actually going to take you somewhere good, or if you just want to spin in circles. Because those are two really different things that feel the same from the inside. I think there are two totally different versions of it's not enough. One of them is ego running scared. You need the number to keep climbing because somewhere in the back of your mind, you're still trying to prove something to someone who doubted you, to a version of yourself that felt small. The money's not the real point. The scoreboard is. You need to keep winning to feel okay. And that can produce results, genuinely. But it never resolves. You'll hit 20K a month just like me eventually, and then you need 50K for some reason. You hit 50K and then you need more. I haven't done that myself yet, but I'm sure it's going to happen. Not because the life is better, just because the old feeling came back. The other version is more just like curiosity, I think. Like, I built this, now what else can I build? What's actually possible here? No anxiety in it, no one to prove anything to, just a genuine interest in how far the thing can go. That version of ambition is quieter, but it lasts way longer and is a lot more fun to live inside of. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm probably both, just depending on the day. Sometimes I think I'm just curious, and then I catch myself caring way too much about what some person thinks about my numbers. And I'm like, okay, that wasn't curiosity, that was something else. Something I'm still figuring out. I think the most useful thing you could do is being fully honest with yourself about what's driving you right now. Not which one sounds better, but what is actually running things for you? The question that actually kind of messed me up recently. What would enough look like? Not the number, the day. A random Tuesday when you've won. What does it look like? What are you doing? Who are you with? How do you feel when you wake up? And what's your average week? I realized I couldn't answer that for a long time. I just had the next revenue goal in mind. I had direction, but no real picture of what I was building towards. Just a number, then another number. And if you can't picture the actual destination, you just run forever. The goalpost just keeps moving, and you keep calling it ambition because it's easier than asking whether you're actually going somewhere. Now, I've yet to mention this, but I make 20K a month through YouTube and a service business, and yeah, that's just a little bit of context to kind of clue you guys in here on what I'm talking about. Anyways, back to what I was saying. When I got specific about it, like really specific, some of what had came up had been nothing to do with money. It's a strange thing to sit with when revenue is basically your whole identity for like 2 years. At least it was for me. Suddenly you're like, oh, there are other variables here that I've been completely ignoring. I'm not going to tell you what your answer should look like, but I'm actually doing that. Picturing the Tuesday in my life. Picturing the Tuesday in your life, not the highlight reel, is one of the most important things you can do. I think comparison makes the never enough feeling worse for everyone building stuff online. You could be doing genuinely well, like objectively well, and still feel behind every day because the internet constantly puts you next to somebody's best moment. Someone your age is making 10 times what you make. Someone younger than you had a month bigger than your whole year. And your brain, which is basically just a comparison machine, takes in all of that and quietly decides that what you're working on is small. There's no version of that game you can win. There's always someone further ahead no matter what. Always. If that's your scoreboard, you're going to feel like you're losing your whole life no matter what you're actually building. The only way out of this is to only care about your own trajectory. Am I better than I was 6 months ago? Is this thing growing? Am I making smarter, better decisions? That's it. That's the only comparison worth running. Here's what's actually landed for me so far. The restlessness is not the problem. The restlessness is probably the whole reason any of this exists. Fully satisfied at $800 a month and nothing moves. The discomfort drove something real. But there's a version of it where it starts working against you. When you're so locked in on the next thing that nothing lands. Where you hit a real milestone and they don't even register because you're already past them mentally. You're building and technically succeeding, but you're running kind of a hollow nothing because nothing ever feels like enough to stop and acknowledge. I'm not going to pretend I fully figured this out either. I'm 21 and I'm in the middle of this. But the thing I keep coming back to is, can I hold both at the same time? Real appreciation for what I'm actually doing right here, mixed with a genuine hunger for whatever's next. Not performing either of those things, actually feeling both. And that's harder than any of the actual business stuff. The business stuff is just execution and discipline. It's learnable. It's practicable. Learning to actually register a win before you move past it. That's the thing I'm still working on. If you've hit something you've worked for and ever felt that weird flatness after, your brain has just adapted. That's the whole explanation. You're not broken. You're not ungrateful. You're just human. And humans adapt to everything. But here's what I actually want to say to you. Get clear on what you're building towards. Not the number, but the life. The Tuesday that we talked about. Because if you don't have a real picture of what winning looks like on a daily basis, you're just chasing a feeling. And the feeling resets every time. You'll do real things and build real stuff and still feel behind your whole life because the goalpost has nowhere to land. Figure out the actual destination and then go build that. The 20K doesn't feel like enough. I don't know what will. But here's what I do know. I think my goal stopped being about finding the number that actually does and started being about becoming someone who could look at what they've built and genuinely feel proud while still wanting more. Both at the same time. That's the actual goal. Subscribe for more videos and check out the description.